And now the news team at 10. Ernie Anastas, Brenda Blackman, Storm Fields weather, and sports with Russ Salzberg and Monica Pellegrini. This is UPN9 News.
And Nintendo is spending millions of dollars to send gloves to owners of its video games. We'll find out why when UPN9 News continues right after this.
Nintendo is getting ready to ship out thousands of gloves to video game players. It's part of a plan to protect them from cuts, bruises, and other hand injuries. Dick Brennan is here now with the story for us. Good evening, Dick.
Good evening, Brenda. If you're a kid who plays these games constantly, or perhaps an adult who really doesn't want to admit it, well, listen up. For a moment or two, step away from that video game. Put your hands where we can see them. You may save yourselves a lot of pain with a little bit of advice.
For many kids, it's the game that never ends. Players are encouraged to rapidly rotate a joystick with a groove tip. But after a while of playing Mario Party, for many, the party is over and the pain begins. The State Attorney General's office says some 90 kids suffered minor injuries.
They had an obligation to warn consumers, especially after they were aware of some of the problems. And that many of the parents were saying that, their children were receiving these injuries after only maybe 15-20 minutes of playing.
Nintendo will now provide gloves to the owners of the game. That should alleviate the cuts and bruises that were reported. But experts say when kids play these types of games for too long, other injuries occur.
We recently had several children about 8 and 9 years of age who came in complaining that their thumbs were locking down after holding the Game Boy for several hours.
Dr. Kevin Plancher says kids can get very intense playing these types of games, and they shouldn't get carried away.
These games can be addicting at times because they're exciting, and some children, if you watch them, are so intent on them you can't even disturb them when they're in the middle of the games.
But there are many other sports associated with elbow-to-wrist injuries, including baseball, bicycling, football, golf, gymnastics, martial arts, racket sports, and weightlifting. But in the case of these video games, fortunately, there's a rather simple antidote in most cases.
Patients and little kids just have to stop playing with the games for a while and put them down and rest in between sessions of playing.
Now, doctors say for simple pain, an anti-inflammatory like Motrin might do the trick. But as with most injuries, if the pain persists, visit your doctor. Nintendo says the 90 injuries were among 1 million copies sold, and that all the games came with instructions on the proper use of the joystick. But nonetheless, the video game giant is cooperating with the New York State Attorney General. Ernie, back to you.
Okay, thanks, Dick.